Okay,
Leds and gens?
welcome to another Canadian Computer Collector video. This week we are going to build a PC, basically. I have my desktop computer here, and I also have next to me some new parts and the original packaging from the parts that started this machine. I had a Bazooka B150M from MSI with a 500 gig Samsung Evo 850 and a quad-core 6500 i5 processor from Intel. Now, this was the cat's meow back in the day, but now not so much. I'm starting to have a lot of problems while editing video, and there are certain games that I'm having trouble playing, like Cyberpunk, for example. And really the bottleneck that I'm experiencing is with the processor. So it was time to do an upgrade, and my birthday just went by. We've got here a Asus B550MA motherboard, as well as a crucial 1 terabyte solid state NVMe, and an AMD 5600 5000 series Ryzen processor. We're gonna be adding more cores for more, very excited to get all this done. We're going to keep it in the old case. I'm just going to pull out the old board. We're going to move my RAM over because the RAM is still compatible. And yeah, see just where we end up. We're also going to do a very thorough cleaning of this case because that's also a very important part of this channel and a part of having a wonderful, I don't know, life. Let's get to it. Alright gang, let's get to it. I already did one voiceover and I hated it, so here we are with round 2. Here's the new board, the B550M-A. As you can see, there's already a chip on this board because we bought this and the chip from Memory Express. They offered to install the chip and the firmware, so we just said go for it. But it turns out that they forgot to put the cooler back in the box. So I'm out of cooler, but at this point I haven't realized it yet. I just thought, oh, I got a chip without a cooler, I gotta go buy a cooler. So I headed back down to Memory Express. Shout out to Memory Express. They have lots of cool stuff there, but what I needed was a cooler. And here we go. We have a freezer A35 from Arctic. Bleh. Okay, folks, air cooler acquired. Hachi Machi! So with the Hachi Machi out of the way and back home in my apartment, it's time to flip my case over and just to start doodling with it. Now, speaking candidly, there was a lot of footage that I had, or I was at least under the impression that I had, of me breaking this case down to the point that you see it now, like me taking fans out and the graphics card and all that, but I can't find it, so I guess here we are, gang. Anyway, let's remove that front I/O plate now that we've taken the motherboard out. A few screws hold that in place, so it's easy to slide that out. Let's pull out all of the SATA and power clips from our thin, slim drives. We've got a 500 and a 1 terabyte solid state, as well as a 1 terabyte spinning disk out of an old laptop. Those are all inconvenient caddies, which we're gonna pull off of each drive for cleaning. And then I have one full-size disk left. It's an 8 terabyte Seagate. I like to store media files on there. And we'll pull those caddies out. A couple screws. We can pull out the power supply. You know, the supply of all power, aka the Okay. I'm already digging this voiceover more. Alright, top of the case just came off. We're going to pop the old I/O plate off too, and then give everything a big old bath in the bathtub. I love washing cases in the bathtub because it's easier to clean them and it ruins the finish. Remember, I live in a bathroom that is not desirable. What's up, gang? Day 2 on the PC clean out and upgrade. We've got a clean case. That is it. On we go. We're going to wash a few more parts, let those dry out, and then start cleaning up individual components. And then we'll put this thing back together. Do it! Alright, let's get one quick look at how clean this case is. This is my Scorsese shot where, you know, there's no cuts. Everything moves around in a fluid-like motion. We get a shot of the inside, we get a shot of the ceiling, and then June the cat. Little tuna swimming against the current. Alright. These are the exterior case pieces that have air filters on them, and these things get dirty real bad. So what we're going to do is unscrew them and then undo the little clamps, and then wash these out in addition to the actual case pieces, but separately. And the reason we do that is for the same reason that you wash your butt. Now, we're going to rinse and repeat, and I'm not going to show all that because there are 3 of these things, and there's no need to do that. But what we are going to do is wash the table, and I love this. You give it a wipe down, and then you speed the footage up, and you can watch it dry in real time. Oh, God. All right, towel goes down. We've got some of our wet pieces back. We're going to let them dry and soak up a bit on the towel. The case pieces are a bit more complicated, so we're going to wipe off these filters and get rid of them because they'll dry right away. But we got to flip the case pieces over because they kind of need to drip dry a little bit longer into the towels. We also have a few more pieces coming in from the bathtub. And we're going to give those a nice little wipe down, try and dry up as much as we can with that first towel. And then after that, we're going to come at them with some compressed air from my hobby compressor. Brought to you by Amazon and companies in China. Anyway, this thing works pretty dang good for getting wetness out of hard to reach places. It's now time to prep that motherboard. So everybody get out your motherboards and we're gonna put some RAM in this thing. And now I did this wrong, and it turns out that it's because I was following the instructions based on if you had like 1 stick, then 2, then 3. Oh, here, yeah, you can also see that the cooler I got was way too large. I mean, that was never going to work in the first place. But that actually isn't the end of the world, and I'll tell you why. Because turned out that I did have a stock cooler that came with my chip. After looking in the box, there was plastic there for holding one, and the staff at Memory Express totally helped me out. They grabbed me another stock AMD cooler. They even put it on for me and sent me back home with a smile. So here we go. Again, these are not sponsored by Memory Express. I've just... You know, I have lots of positive things to say about them. Anyway, board comes out. Look how fine this lass is looking. We've got our RAM in the proper channels now. As I was going to say, I thought that you were supposed to just follow that order until you reach 4, but it turns out if you have 4 sticks, you just put 2 in 2 channels. You want the matching sticks in the matching channels is what I'm getting at. Anyway, crucial 1 terabyte NVMe drive goes in. Just going to make sure that everything fits before we put our I/O plate on. Snip that out of the bag. Snip, snip. And those things always kind of feel satisfying to pop into their spot. This one fit nice and snug. A couple screws go in to hold that board in place. And, you know, I just like to take a moment to say everything is looking really good here. I'm not a big RGB guy, and I think, you know, the colors that we have going on, though, are very satisfying. Black and white and red have been traditionally something that have always jived well. So moving on to the power supply, we're going to use compressed air to blow it out again. Remember, we actually cleaned this computer out quite thoroughly not that long ago, so there isn't a ton of work that needs to be done here, but we're going to do it anyway. That includes giving things a nice little wipe, and I always like to emphasize just how important it is to wipe, whether you're a human being, a primate, or anything else that can reach. Few screws go back into place to hold the power supply where it needs to be, and then we can plug it into the board in a couple of different places. Front I/O plate goes on. A few screws go back in, and it turned out that one of the screws that was holding this on is actually a motherboard screw, so I returned it to the motherboard off camera. So we're going to fish the cords through one of the grommets on this case. This is a fantastic case by Corsair that allows cable management to be done in a jiffy. Here we have an extra SATA cable or 2, because I wanted to do everything with the same colors. We got 4 SATA cables that we're going to plug in. Those are for those slim and fat drives that I was putting into caddies earlier. Nice little gentle tuck, and those wires are looking trim. And then from the other side, we just want to pull them out and get them out of the way.
Day 3 of the build begins now.
All right, day 3 started, and I wanted to make sure that I got my front I/O ports and pins and all that crap figured out properly. So I busted out the manuals and made sure that everything was lining up with where it needed to be. This is a very tedious process because sometimes they label things similarly but not the same, if you know what I mean. But luckily, with a little bit of time, I managed to find where everything needed to go. So here we are, plugging in the final front I/O items. Last time we cleaned up this machine, I just taped them together, so I didn't have to figure out which went which. But you can't do that with a new board, obviously. So it's time for the fans to go back in, but I wanted to hit them with a little compressed air first and some isopropyl alcohol. Give them a blast and a shot, know what I'm saying? These things, like I said, I've cleaned up not that long ago, so they didn't need much. Graphics card, same thing, just gave it a quick blast. And then here we are coming back to the fans with the ISO. I'm not going to show you every single fan because what's the point? But yeah, they got nice and clean. Time for the fan hub that I got, because I didn't have enough ports on the board, obviously, to run all of the fans that I have. But I do have a SATA power port, which is what this runs off of. Extraordinarily convenient. Starting to put fans back into the case. We got the two front 120 induction fans. And these suckers, I always think look so cool on the front, just with the gray blades and the black case. I don't know what it is about them, but very industrial look. You know, like, what is it? Marilyn Manson music? Is that industrial? Okay, in goes the RTX 3050, because, you know, I'm not Kanye West over here. Anyway, that thing goes in, we plug power into the CPU, then we plug power into the GPU. And then we plug power into the Pippy Le Pew. Oh! Boy, he was aggressive, to say the least. Quick test to see if it'll post. Greta post. Home improvement. Looks like we got it. That is good enough for me. So shut that thing down. And let's go ahead and finish up this build. We got another fan to throw in. This is another 120 that I picked up while I was at Memory Express. This is a... obviously, this thing doesn't really jive with the colors that I've got going on, but who really cares? I mean, this isn't an RGB case. People aren't really looking inside of it beyond just these videos. Bootable Windows 10 stick goes in the back. It's time to make this thing actually work.
She lives! We are currently installing Windows on the NVMe. Just went through all of the setup stuff. So yeah, here we go. Very exciting! And I got this really cool fan controller at the back. It's not really a controller, it's just a hub, but it allows me to plug in more fans, so I picked up an extra 120. Okay, gang, this is legit the fastest Windows 10 install I think I've ever been a part of. This NVMe drive is incredible. I think this took all of 10 minutes to install, which is shocking considering I put it on other SSDs and it's taken a lot longer than that. So I am super, super impressed with how this is working. So I'm super satisfied with how all of that went. I'm loving the NVMe lifestyle. I made sure that the drive that I bought had a 5,000 megabit per second read speed and pretty high write speeds. I don't know offhand, I can't remember what they were, but anyway, in go the slim SSDs and the one spinning hard disk. We got 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte, and 500 gigs. And in goes the 8 terabyte full-size hard drive, if I can figure out which rail to get it on. There we go. Then we'll just slide the other caddies in so we don't lose them. And then screw on the back plate, but I guess we won't see me do that. Power and SATA cables go into the back of the slim drives. And that will give us all the data we need to track down James Bond. Anyway, so like I said, this is not an RGB case, but I do have one little string of LED lights. It just kind of illuminates things enough to the point where you can see what's going on inside the case. And with the help of some zip ties, we can string those things right into place. Zip ties and pressure fits. That's the life that I live. Filters go back onto those case panels, and then we screw them in and close all the tabs out. 3 of them to do, so here's the third one. My oh my, isn't that satisfying. Top of the case goes into place. A couple of thumb screws. Give that thing a flip. And put the bottom on. A couple of thumb screws. And we are doing it. Or maybe I put the bottom on first and then the top. Who cares? Ghostbusters panel goes on, and then the little filter on the side there. And then we're going to put our plexiglass back into the tabs that hold it into place. And then fart right in your face. What's up, ladies? Oh my god. Alright, tighten those screws up. Case is complete. Oh, almost. We just want to tuck that one cable so that it's not in front of the graphics card.
It's time to plug this sucker back in and start testing some games out. Yeah, we got Windows. We got USB Bluetooth drives for peripherals. Some Cyberpunk.
Feels great to have you back. So then, did you all hear about that Arasaka aircraft carrier docked in Night City called Kujira, or the Whale?
Yeah, no lag at all. Holy crap. Oh, I couldn't drive before. Alright, well, that pretty much takes us to the end of this one. Thank you for joining me so much as we upgraded my daily driver desktop to a 12-thread
AMD monster.
At least it is for me. It's running fantastic. So far, editing video has been a breeze. I haven't had any kind of hiccups. I edited this video on the machine, and I didn't have anything freeze. I didn't have to restart my PC, so huge improvement. So while it is playing games that I couldn't play before, and then playing games that I played before much better, it does sound like an airplane. There are a lot of 120mm fans in that machine now, and you can hear it. In front of me, I have the old board. We must remember it through song. Still a fantastic board, still a fantastic processor. It's just a quad core, so better at some things than others. One of those things not being running Cyberpunk. So glad I can finally play that game, as I bought it when it came out, and I've been sitting on it. Anyway, oh, what do we have underneath here? It's a list of patrons. So I just wanted to remind you, if you made it this far, please like and subscribe and check out all of our older content. We have lots of cool videos on the channel, old builds, restorations, things about collecting, a lot of retro stuff, less newer stuff, more about like the retro tech, as you can see. If you want to support the channel, check out the details in the description below for Buy Me a Coffee. It's a great way to make a donation if you're not into Patreon, but if you are into Patreon, you can join ours for only $1 a month. And I would just like to go ahead and thank the current patrons while I have your attention. So that would be Andy, David G, Larry C, Justin M, Ron's Computer Vids, Jason S, Adam M, Groupride, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, Trina C, Garth B, Mac84, Ethan P, Ron R, Rudy's Retro Intel, Charles from Oz, and SKLINK, which could also be Skunk if you put them too close to each other. Thank you so much to all the patrons out there. Again, if you want to see your name in the credits and check out videos a little bit earlier, I kind of fudged the last one, being that I tried to upload it and then I had to hit publish after without realizing it, so I just published it the next morning, as I normally would anyway. So yeah, none of that in the future. We'll be fixing all those little issues, lots of cool stuff to come on there. I, of course, am the Canadian Computer Collector. Thank you so much one more time for making it this far in the video. I appreciate your time and also time in general. And once you stop respecting time, that's when it gets you.